All right, peace off.
Are we going?
Do it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Broken Plane podcast. I'm here, as always, with JB. This is TK, and we're going to talk about the Western divisions this week.
That's right.
And we're going to get started with the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs. The 12-4 Kansas City Chiefs. The division champion Kansas City Chiefs. And I was surprised when I read that. Looking back, I thought to myself, 12-4 seems high.
Yeah.
For them.
It really does. It's their defense, I think.
Okay.
Because, they were not the best offense. I mean, they scored some points. They put up like 24 points a game, but they were like 20th in yards per game last year.
Right. I had them 24th in defense, though.
Oh, yeah.
So they were 24th in defense and 20th in offense, and also 12-4.
Well, one thing I found, they scored 5 defensive touchdowns last year. And listen to this. They had a blowout win week 3, but they did score 2 defensive touchdowns that week. So that probably put them over in that one. Week 6, they won by 6, and they had a defensive touchdown. Week 9, they won by 3, had a defensive touchdown. And week 12, a 1-point win, defensive touchdown. That's 3 wins for sure that they won because of their defense, and maybe 4.
So opportunistic.
Yeah. Without those, they're 8-8.
I'm amazed. It's Andy Reid. It's Andy Reid coached team. I don't think they were bad last year. I don't think they were badly coached last year. I think Andy Reid is a heck of a football coach, and also my favorite fat man. This year, going into this season, they waited a little bit late to fire their general manager.
Yeah, they did.
So it wasn't very long ago, and they promoted from within. They promoted Brett Veach.
Brett Veach, Andy Reid's buddy.
Andy Reid's close personal friend.
Yeah, he's been with him for a while.
Since
2007 as a personal assistant, or maybe just an assistant to Andy Reid.
With the Eagles.
Yeah, with the Eagles. Then the Eagles promoted him to a pro scout position in 2010. Andy Reid moves on to Kansas City, and Veach follows him there. Or they hired him. He brought him. Mm-hmm. And now Veach is the GM.
Top of the heap.
Yeah.
Huh. I have it that Reid and Veach both report directly to the owner.
Yeah. So they're going to be working together.
Okay. So they're not. It's not. Well, sometimes the coach will report to the GM.
Yeah.
And the GM will be responsible for football operations as well as whatever goes on
day to day.
On day to day. Yeah. But in this case, they're both going to be working together and reporting separately.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
To Clark Hunt. Okay. All right. Offensively, Alex Smith was a Pro Bowler last year.
He's so underwhelming.
Did I have that right?
The NFC quarterbacks.
Okay, so Alex Smith, definitely a Pro Bowler. Jamal Charles is out.
He's gone.
Yeah. They waived him, which I guess you would do because he hasn't really played.
He just gets injured all the time.
Yeah, so he's out. CJ Spiller is in. Speaking of getting injured all the time. Yeah, so they replaced
more of the same.
Oft-hurt running back with an oft-hurt running back. Yes. Okay.
Shrug. Is
there anybody else on the offense you want to talk about? There's DeAnthony Thomas, and he's a great punt returner. I don't know that he's ever been successfully. You know what? Even in college, I don't ever remember him being really super successfully mixed into the passing game.
Where'd he go to college?
University of Oregon, just down the road in Eugene.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure.
I follow the team, so but no, even down there, they'd get him the ball on jet sweep, they'd get him the ball, bubble screens, and then just a lot of returns.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's enough to make a career out of.
Well, I mean, they already had Dexter McCluster, and he didn't work out, and they're the same player, aren't they? Dexter McCluster's better, but
no, I don't think that's accurate.
I don't want to talk about it. Anybody else
we'll move on
the offense? I mean, okay.
Well, do you want to talk about
Travis Kelce is good.
Okay. Travis Kelce is good.
There we go. We've done it.
Do you have a projection?
Of course.
Let's hear it.
I have them at 8-8. I never buy Alex Smith, but I don't buy Alex Smith anymore.
Especially now.
They drafted a quarterback. Alex Smith is not owed any money after this year, so they can get rid of him. He may even not finish the season as the starter if he's as
Wow.
bad as I think he is. He's
Wow.
just so safe.
He is.
So
Okay. I've got them at 9-7. And the more I think about it, that might be a little high.
but they also have possibly one of the toughest schedules this year.
Yeah.
So that's not going to help. They're playing a lot of good teams.
I've got the second them as having the second the second toughest schedule
Based on opponent win percentage from last year.
So they could, Anyway, I think you and I agree on this. I'm just not enthusiastic about the Chiefs.
They might break
At all.
500.
They might
be 500.
And if they do, I don't care.
And if they're under 500, I'm not surprised either.
A perfectly reasonably average ball club.
Yes.
Yeah. Coached by a delightful fat man. Next on the list,
The Raiders.
Oakland Football Raiders. We can't call them Oakland for much longer. We got to really enjoy this while we've got it. As a Seahawks fan from way back, I hate the Raiders. I despise them. That being said, all the stuff that I have to say about them today is good.
They've got a lot going for them, which is weird.
It is weird in the Mark Davis era.
Yeah.
Now that Al Davis, rest his soul, has passed away, Mark Davis, his son, comes in and he took the team and he stabilized them. They're not swinging wildly for the fences anymore. They're not going to...
They're not drafting ridiculous, fast wide receivers.
No, they're not spending first-round picks on sprinters that didn't play football.
Yeah.
They brought in Jack Del Rio, and I've always thought of Jack Del Rio as one of those coaches that you brought in to just make your team not suck.
Solidify a little bit.
Yeah. So maybe he won't take you to the Super Bowl, but for sure you're not going to be 2-14. For sure. That just won't happen with the Jack Del Rio coach team. So brought him in. This is his third season. In the 2 seasons before he got there, they went from 3-13 the year before he got there to 7-9, and then to 12-4 last year. They skipped a step.
There was a
mediocre. Yes, there was a mediocre step they skipped.
They were mediocre for like 3 games, it sounds like. And then they're just like, okay, we're going to be good now.
Yeah, and then they just went ahead and said, we're just going to go make the playoffs now. Yeah, it's going to be great. So, and they've got
a lot.
They've got a lot. Yeah, to not be a Raiders fan right now is tough because I love Khalil Mack. That guy is a stud.
Wow.
And they got him on one side and they got Irvin on the other side as pass rushers.
Yeah.
It makes life hard.
Quarterbacks are in trouble.
Yeah. Well, and not just the quarterbacks, but just having that constant pressure really makes it so probably a subpar secondary gets covered up a lot when you've only got 3.5 seconds to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, you're not thrown into the secondary as often.
Yeah. So that's good if you're a Raiders fan.
Oh, yeah.
Offensively, Derek Carr signed a contract for all the money.
He's the best quarterback. He's better than Tom Brady, I guess.
Evidently. According to the paycheck, he is.
Yeah.
Next year, what it is, $25 million a year for 5 years, I think was the contract. That seems like a lot.
Oh, it's a lot.
Don't get me wrong. I think we had Kirk Cousins. We talked about him last week for $23 or $24 million this year on the franchise tag. So this is, I guess, I'd rather have Derek Carr than Kirk Cousins.
I would too.
So that's something.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of weapons to get the ball to.
Yeah.
Crabtree
and Cooper.
Yeah.
They're a really good pair together.
Yeah.
They've performed pretty similarly. They both had around 1,000 yards the last 2 years. Crabtree's actually outscored him, like 9 and 8 touchdowns to Cooper's 6 and 5. But Crabtree's getting older. Cooper's just getting better. So,
what do you think about Patterson? Or do you try not to?
No, I think he could do well there as like the third option as opposed to trying to be the first option in Minnesota.
He doesn't have to go up against the number one defender on the other
team. He's going to get to do those end around runs and all that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. Lots of rushing plays.
With Patterson, a lot of rushing plays?
Well, not rushing plays, but he's going to be on the ground getting the ball.
Okay.
Not catching it as much.
How about this is something that, and again, as a Seahawks fan, this hurts me. How did they get Marshawn Lynch?
Oh, I thought he was done.
He was supposed to be done.
He got that itch.
Well, I think what he got was that you didn't hand me the ball at the 1 in the Super Bowl and we lost.
Okay.
That's what I think he, correctly so. That's accurate. They really should have. Hindsight being 2020, you should have handed the ball off.
Yeah, I probably would have.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like the most hard to tackle man in the NFL.
He is all knees and elbows. When you look at him and try to, it's hard to figure out where to hit him because you're going to get punched or kicked.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's going to tear it up. Their offensive line is good. They had, let's see, Kelechi Osemele, Rodney Hudson, and Donald Penn were each in the top 5, according to Pro Football Focus, in run blocking grades.
Seriously?
So 3 of their 5 offensive linemen are just like some of the best. And then Marshawn Lynch is impossible to tackle. He breaks tackles. I think he's going to have himself a beast mode of a year.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm a little disappointed.
Draft him.
I hate fantasy football. It's the only way I can get him. I can't. Would you take him with the number 1 pick?
The number 1 pick?
Well, would you take him?
No.
Would you take him with
I'll
a first
take him in
round
the first
pick
round
if your league was X number of
12
teams
or more,
deep?
Yeah. Maybe even 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The one thing about Lynch that does make me happy, it would stun me if he made the move to Las Vegas with them.
You think he's just 1 year left?
I think, well, the Raiders, keep in mind, Vegas, they don't have anything built yet.
I think he's just a 1 year contract. So
is it just a 1 year contract?
You think he's just going to play 1 year, or you think he'll come back again, maybe with another team?
You know what? Football's fun when you're winning.
Yeah.
If they win, why wouldn't he come back?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can see him coming back if they do well. And honestly, with Jack Del Rio as the head coach, they're going to spend a lot of time handing the ball off if they can.
Yeah.
If it makes sense to do it, they'll hand the ball to him because they've got a couple of guys behind him that they like, but they brought him in for this one thing.
Yeah.
It could be a really good year in Oakland this year.
It's going to open up the passing game. They're going to score points.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a fantasy play for the Raiders?
Everyone we talked about, they're all worthy of picking.
How about for the Chiefs? We didn't really have a fantasy play for the Chiefs.
Exactly.
Kelsey.
Yeah, Travis Kelsey.
Okay.
I think he's like the number 2 tight end fantasy option, right behind Gronk.
Really?
So
that's okay. That's high. All right.
He gets his.
Okay. Okay.
Moving on. Denver Broncos.
Moving on. You had a projection. What's your
you want
projection?
to hear? I'm at 11-5. They also have a tough schedule.
They do have a tough schedule. I was looking at their schedule. I've got them at 13-3. I've got them actually
love them.
as I've got them at 13-3 with the 4th toughest schedule. I've got them facing off with the Patriots at the end of the year.
It makes sense.
So
it's not a bad projection.
I don't think it wouldn't be a dark horse pick at this point. No. I think they still have to go through New England.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be something to watch for. Should we move on?
Yeah. Denver Broncos.
Tell me how you feel about the Denver Broncos.
Well, I don't feel much about the Denver Broncos. Their offense has just kind of died ever since Peyton Manning left, which is to be expected. Mm. Their quarterback options are not great. They're going to go with Trevor Siemian, probably, most likely, unless Paxton Lynch does something outstanding. But, meh.
Okay.
Probably going to be a bottom offense again, I'm thinking.
It is hard. I read something really interesting about, I wish I would have written down who wrote it so I could give them some credit, but about Trevor Siemian, they were saying that when he starts games, he's really accurate. He's really good. He can drive the ball downfield. But what happens with him as he gets hit more and more, he loses strength in his legs.
Gets a little.
He's not the biggest guy in the world. Well, it's not really even an unconfident thing. It's just he's not the biggest guy in the world to start with. And you start getting a beating to your legs, now you can't drive the ball.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of your torque comes from to be able to get the ball downfield. So after he spends, a couple of quarters getting knocked down, knocked around, he doesn't drive the ball as well as he used to, and that led to some of his problems last year. Now, obviously, Paxton Lynch won't have that problem.
Because?
He's 8 feet tall and about 300 pounds, yes. I think. Was he 6'5"?
I think so.
And he is like 250. He's a big dude. So he might have more of an NFL body type. I don't think he'll have to protect himself as much to be able to do similar things. Yeah. That being said, I think everybody in Denver wants Trevor Siemian to perform well, because I don't think Paxton Lynch is ready to make that next step.
No, not yet.
So that'll be interesting. They did with Gary Kubiak out of football. Now I I guess he retired.
Yeah, I think so.
So I hope things are going. He's had some health issues, and there were some other things going on with him. I like Gary Kubiak a lot. I hope things work out for him, and I'm sure they will. But they brought in Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Because the Dolphins had such a good defensive year last year.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I'll be honest, when I saw Vance Joseph, what I read was Vance Johnson, who I think was a receiver with the Broncos back in the 80s. Obviously not the same guy. He brought in Chargers head coach, former Chargers head coach, Mike McCoy, as their offensive coordinator to help out with some of those offensive problems.
Yeah. And they also got 2 offensive line coaches to try and clean things up on that end, because that wasn't a strong suit of theirs last year.
They brought in 2 offensive line coaches.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're both coaches, but, one's an offensive line coach and somebody's also there to help with the offensive line.
Okay.
So.
That seems so weird.
Yeah.
Okay. They need it. Whatever they do there, they need to do something, because what they were doing before wasn't great, and I don't know that they've brought a lot in to help replace that. They lost Wade Phillips.
Yeah.
In the booth. The one thing they had going for them last year was their defense was stout.
Very strong defense.
So I don't know if that's going to carry over. I guess Vance Joseph was on staff with Wade Phillips down in Houston.
Yeah.
So maybe there'll be a little bit of continuity there. And I did read that John Elway told Vance Joseph they were going to be running the same defensive system that they did last year.
You would want to.
Because they were
so
successful. It would make sense.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure how I feel about a GM dictating to me what I'm going to do football-wise.
Yeah, why don't you just do it, John?
Yeah, I think John Elway wants to do that.
He probably does.
There's some piece of John Elway that would like to coach football, I think, probably. Anyway, so talk about the defense.
Well, they've got all their players.
Von Miller is looking to come back and have another great year. Aqib Talib is probably one of the hardest defensive backs to play against.
Yeah.
A really physical guy. So there are no problems with them there. Offensively, we talked about Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch,
Wide receivers, yeah.
Demaryius Thomas and
Emmanuel Sanders. Dynamic duo.
Yeah, pretty good receivers.
Yeah.
Pretty good set. So not really a lot of excuses to not be able to get those guys the ball.
Yeah, you'd think they'd have great seasons. Well, they do have great seasons, but the touchdowns aren't always there, and that's the problem, I think. Okay.
They did bring in Jamal Charles.
Yeah, so he'll be there for 3 games or something.
I guess problem solved.
Well, they've got C.J. Anderson, who also likes to get hurt a little bit, and Devontae Booker, so maybe they're just going to go 3-headed attack, rotate them in.
What's the over-under on all 3 of those guys being done by week 6?
Oh, all 3 of them?
Yeah.
Well...
Nothing too bad can happen to the Broncos.
They'll be fine.
Okay.
If they play their running backs correctly, I think they'll all stay healthy.
Okay. So, fantasy pick, just one.
Just one?
Just one.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here. The new rookie tight end. Because they need a tight end. And this guy has the name for a tight end. Jake Butt.
Jake from Michigan.
Yeah.
University of Michigan, Jake Butt.
I want him to succeed.
I don't know why he wouldn't.
And I want him to succeed for a selfish reason.
Why is that?
My mother-in-law is a Broncos fan. And I want her to be wearing a jersey that says Butt on it.
You could probably get her to do that.
I'm going to buy her one. I'm going to buy her a Jake Butt jersey if he gets 5 or more touchdowns this year. Christmas present.
That's fantastic.
Come on, Jake. That's my fantasy pick. But
good pick.
You can pick Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders worry-free.
Yes.
I'm not touching the running backs, though.
No, I don't know that I would pick a receiver that I didn't trust the quarterback for. It's hard for me to do. So there's really no good pick for me at that point.
Yeah. I mean, you look at what they did last year, and you see Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian probably going to perform at least the same. So you got to figure they're both going to have at least similar numbers, possibly a little lower, hopefully a little higher, and pick them accordingly.
Okay. And do you have a projection?
It's not going well. 6-10.
I've got 5-11. So yeah, that's a similar.
I think their offense is going to fail them, and the defense just might not be as good now that Wade Davis is gone. Whether they're trying to play with his defense, it's just probably not going to be the same without him there.
I tend to agree with that. I also think that they have anytime you have a team that doesn't have a decent offense, you're going to trot your defense out on the field more. They already did that last year. The defenses tend to get tired around the middle of the season. They have a bye week at week 5, which seems incredibly early to me.
It's a little early, yeah.
So you basically got you've got half of October all the way through to the end of the year with no rest.
Yeah.
That's tough. So it would take a lot. Things could swing badly for them quick.
Definitely.
So 5-11, and we'll see what happens after that.
The Los Angeles Chargers.
The Bolts. Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
Okay.
That does not sound right.
It does not.
Los Angeles quarterback Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, it's going to take some getting used to.
Yeah. Just say the Chargers, I think.
Okay.
The Chargers.
New head coach. Anthony Lynn.
Another new head coach, too. New to head coaching.
Brand new.
Yeah.
No experience. No. Which is good because he came from Buffalo.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would take a former Buffalo head coach. It would take a lot for me to say, hey, you know what I want is a guy who has never had success.
Yeah, that's not a winning formula.
No. He was an assistant head coach and running back coach, which when they have the assistant head coach title, I always get a little worried about that. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
You just assist the head coach, but you're already an assistant coach.
Helping him call plays, devising schemes.
It's not carrying his bag, right?
Yeah.
It's not like,
I don't think it's assistant to the head coach.
It's assistant head coach.
It's not a Dwight Schrute situation.
Okay, so from Buffalo, brought him in. They also brought in Ken Wisenhunt to run the offense.
And he's been there before, I believe.
He has.
Yeah.
And they also brought in Gus Bradley.
Okay.
And he has also been there before.
Yeah.
Both of those guys have a ton of experience between them. So they really did shore up where he might not have a lot of experience. They brought in guys that do.
Yeah.
So I guess that's good.
Could work.
Yeah. You could be excited about that.
Yeah. I'm excited about the Chargers this year.
You're excited? Ooh, goodness. Okay. All right.
I think they're going to move up in front of the Broncos.
I think they are,
and they may
too.
even have surpassed I have them surpassing the Chiefs, too. So
I guess I do as well.
Yeah.
Joey Bosa on defense, Rookie of the Year. Again, he signed late. Didn't they keep him out of games because he signed late?
Yeah.
And they wanted to get him game ready?
Yeah.
And I have never heard as dumb a thing as that because dude plays on the defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm not saying there isn't subtlety and nuance to the defensive line, but he's played it in college at Ohio State. It wasn't like he's coming from Podunk U. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He signed late. You didn't have to keep him out to make sure he was in game shape.
No.
Because he walked onto the field and he was immediately their best defensive lineman.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, way to go, Mike McCoy. That's why you're an offensive coordinator in Denver.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's why you're working with Trevor Siemian.
And things I think are going to get better for Bosa, if that's even possible. He's moving back. They're going to play a 4-3 now. So he's going to get to play defensive end, rush the passer from a three-point stance, which is his preferred method of destruction. Mm-hmm. So I think things are going to look even better for him.
They could.
And they're bringing back a lot of defensive players. They had a terrible year last year with injuries all over the place. Cornerback Jason Verrett tore his ACL in early October, missed the whole year. He's going to come back, and he was having an amazing year in the 4 weeks that he played. So that'll help them a lot. Brandon Mebane, nose tackle, went down in mid-November. He should be back, and he's a huge run-stopping presence for them. I think their defense is going to be improved.
That's a lot. I know for a fact Gus Bradley used to be the defensive coordinator in Seattle when they were just starting to get good, just on this current upswing, before he went off to, I don't know what he was doing in Jacksonville. We won't talk about that, but he can coach a defense. Yeah. He's done it before. And what he coached in Seattle, he took to Jacksonville, and I would imagine it's going to be a similar scheme to what they're going to bring, like you were talking about, to the Chargers. So it's a proven scheme. It's a cover 3 zone is the look to it. So they're going to be a lot of zone coverage. They won't be counting on their cornerbacks to stay in man-to-man coverage by themselves a lot, which I think is going to help out Casey Hayward on the outside. Casey Hayward had a great year last year.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to change. I think that might even get better for him.
Yeah, better with Verrett coming back.
Yeah. So a lot of good things to say about the Los Angeles Chargers defense. Offensively, you have Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers, consistently underrated. How do you not love the guy? I mean, he is everything you would want your quarterback to be.
Yeah, he's great.
He's big, tough.
Doesn't quit.
Doesn't ever quit. Intimidating. He scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Dude is awesome. But has he ever... There's always been like one thing holding him back. Each year, it's something different. It's like one thing, not quite there. Pieces aren't quite set.
Yeah.
What's happening with Phillip Rivers this year?
Well, he's got a ton of weapons this year. They have Keenan Allen coming back, Dontrell Inman, rookie Mike Williams, Travis Benjamin, Tyrell Williams, Hunter Henry, tight end. Antonio Gates is still there. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Melvin Gordon as well.
And Melvin Gordon's due for a bounce back year.
Yeah. Phillip Rivers can throw it to any one of them. He will throw it to all of them. They can all perform. They can all do whatever you need them to do.
So things are really looking up for a 5-11 team last year. What are you looking at this year, you think?
I have them at 9-6, 9-7.
9-7?
So 6 isn't enough.
I actually have them at 7-9. I don't think it'll work out. I don't trust them to do anything right at this point.
I just think they're going to win. I don't know. I like that offense a lot. And I know they have a lot of tough games. They have the third toughest schedule. They got to play New England, Dallas. They got to play their Oakland twice. KC has a good defense, whether they're actually good or not.
I have them splitting with KC.
Yeah.
I have Oakland winning both those games. I had them losing to the Patriots in Dallas.
Yeah.
So it's a legit schedule. I mean,
if they steal any of those games, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to win a lot of their other games.
And that's a wrap for. How about I keep forgetting. How about a fantasy play? One fantasy, just one. You
just
only get one.
Hunter Henry.
Really?
Tight ends are hard to find.
But he's splitting time.
Yeah, but I think he's going to move up. Old man Gates, 37.
And he's been slipping.
Yeah.
Production-wise, he's been slipping a little bit each year. But we were talking about this earlier. Didn't Tony Gonzalez, weren't his best years stats-wise with the Falcons?
Yeah, I think so. And he played until he was 37 as well. And he put up solid numbers, 5, 6, 8, 10 touchdowns all through, scattered them all 14 years or whatever it was. Yeah. Hunter Henry, he only had 53% of the offensive snaps last year. So he got half. A little more, but I think they're just going to increase that more. I mean, they're going to want to keep Gates healthy and let Hunter show what he can do. He had 7 of 16 red zone targets last year pulled in for touchdowns, and I think he tied for leading the league in tight end touchdowns or something like that. So he's doing what a fantasy player needs to do.
Mm-hmm. I think it also does help him that there's a new coaching staff in place.
Yeah.
New coaches tend to, everybody gets a clean sheet. It doesn't matter if you've been here for the last however long.
Yeah.
So maybe a little more willing to play not new kids, but play somebody who doesn't have the kind of history that Antonio Gates does. He's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
So, okay.
There we go.
That's the AFC West.
AFC wrapped.
Done.
Finito.
That group, man, I don't know. Brings back weird memories for me of the Seattle Seahawks being part of the AFC West. Great transition, Jay.
Segue. Amazing.
On to the Seattle Seahawks, the NFC West.
Yeah.
Last year, 2016, they were 10-5-1.
There's another one of those ties we were talking about.
And after I started to look these things up this week, and I saw that, and I remember that game specifically because after the game in the press conferences, Pete Carroll, it was the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks. That was the tie.
Okay.
They talked about the kickers, and Pete Carroll backed Hauschka. He said, you know what, that guy makes a lot of kicks for us. He
did
this
too.
One. He does.
He was amazing for, 2 or 3 years before that?
Yeah.
With them?
He had a rough year last year.
Yeah.
He didn't perform real well. But Pete Carroll had his back. And then you look over at Bruce Arians, and Bruce Arians, I don't even remember who the kicker was, but he threw that guy under the bus. We gotta have that kick. We gotta make those kicks. Those are convertible. You cost us the game.
Well, yeah, that's what the losing coach is. Or I guess he's not losing.
He's
He
not a
feels
losing
like
coach.
he feels like the loser.
Just
though.
because you feel like a loser doesn't mean you have to act like a loser. It was awesome. It was fantastic. Anyway,
Bruce Arians has got that personality.
Bruce Arians.
Pete Carroll has that personality. They
does.
did what they needed to do.
It was actually exactly how you would imagine it would play out.
Exactly.
It was exactly how it played out. Okay, Seattle Seahawks. No significant roster churn.
No.
So a lot of the same names coming back. They are getting a year older, and there will be contracts due next season for Jimmy Graham and Cam Chancellor. But that's a year away, so we're not going to worry about that.
Who cares?
I don't care. The old line.
The proper response.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite stories. Tom Cable, the offensive line coach, a few years back, they drafted a defensive tackle named J.R. Sweezy. And they brought him in, and they plugged him in at guard. And Tom Cable spent about 2 years with this guy and turned him into really a stud offensive lineman. He made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Did so well that during free agency, because the Seahawks famously don't ever pay offensive linemen, he walked because there was a team. I think it was the Saints. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sweezy left, free agent, to go play for somebody who would pay him in money instead of coupons.
Yes.
Well, that worked so well. Last year, they signed an undrafted player by the name of George Fant. Now, George Fant is a fantastic story. He went to Western Kentucky University. He played basketball. During his senior year, he played on the football team at tight end. They just brought him out there. Hey, George, you're gonna do this. You're gonna wear the helmet and you're gonna run around. It's gonna be great. And then later you'll play basketball. Well, the Seahawks signed him to a free agent contract and then plugged him in at left tackle. Because why wouldn't you do that? What about playing basketball and then backing up at tight end at Western Kentucky wouldn't make you ready to play left tackle in the NFL?
No, I don't know who this guy is. I've never seen him.
George Fant.
But hearing a basketball player playing on the offensive line, I either want to see this guy playing basketball or I want to see this guy standing next to a real offensive lineman. Because one of these things is going to be funny.
It's supposed to be getting better. So last year was his rookie year. And it went about as you would imagine because the Seahawks offensive line was just terrible. Yeah. They had a lot of trouble. And it wasn't all him. It wasn't all the left tackle. It wasn't
it was everybody except for Justin Britt. He was the only one who was any good.
Yes. But during the season, George Fant went from 250 back in his basketball playing days at Western Kentucky. He bulked up to about 290.
Okay, that's good.
Between the offseason and then during the season. During this offseason, he put on another 30 pounds. So clearly he's not juicing. Clearly this is just working hard and lifting a lot of weights and eating mama's cooking. That's what this is.
That's all muscle, baby.
But dude put on 70 pounds in 2 years. So first of all, we're not going to talk about what you could say about that. We're not going to talk about things that might have helped him do that.
Speculate.
What we're going to say is he's a lot bigger now than he used to be.
He's ready to play on the offensive line for real.
Maybe that will transition into him playing like an offensive lineman this year.
Well, Russell Wilson hopes so.
Russell Wilson does hope so. Yeah. Because last year Russell Wilson got clobbered for the first time in his career. He wasn't quick enough to get away from all of the pressure, and he was hobbled from week, I think, 2. Yeah. And really, he never got over what was going on.
It's a good thing he's mobile. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it really could have been. Offensively, Wilson, Graham, Baldwin, Eddie Lacy.
Eddie Lacy's here.
New kid coming in.
Hey, splitting carries with Rawls, though, that could be good.
That could be good.
That could be a good.
They brought in Fat Lacy.
Yeah.
Fat Lacy has a clause in his contract that says you'll get paid bonuses if you weigh this amount.
Yeah, you got to meet your weight.
Yeah. If you don't weigh this much, we won't give you money. And he signed a piece of paper that said, yeah, that's a good idea.
Don't hang out with Vance.
No. No. Don't hang out with Big George Fant. Because because Big George Fant he's eating the room at this point. He's pounding Slurpee. I don't even know what it is.
Maybe he needs to hang out with Fant because maybe Lacy orders his food and then Fant's just on it before Lacy even knows it's there.
So Eddie Lacy, apparently he's made weight. Apparently he's looking good. He will be splitting time with Thomas Rawls. I like Rawls. I think Rawls, there's a lot of effort that goes into watching him. He came up when Marshawn Lynch was with the Seahawks, and he's got it in his head that he wants to do what Marshawn Lynch did.
Oh, he's another bruiser for sure.
Although he's not as good at it as Lynch.
Yeah.
I think he hurts himself a little bit trying to do some of the things that Lynch would do. But it's a lot of effort. And
Rawls has still had 4.1 or more yards per carry every season he's played.
So there's hope.
He's got the ability.
Okay.
And Lacy's good too. He just didn't have anything last year, the year before. I mean, we've seen him be good.
Yeah, it's hard for me though because he didn't have anything last year.
It's hard to trust him after.
But the Packers were really good.
Yeah.
How do you manage to not do good things on that team? It's not like the offensive line sucked. It's not like they didn't. I mean, I know they've got Aaron Rodgers there, but they handed the ball off.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to move on to the defense?
Sure.
Okay. All I've got here are names: Bennett, Cliff Averill, Bobby Wagner, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas.
The list goes on and on.
It does.
Scary people.
You know what? If most of those guys are healthy, I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
The one thing that hurt them last year was when Earl Thomas went down, when they lost him to the knee injury. That hurt a lot because he covers up a lot of mistakes on the back end. He allows the other guys in the defensive group and the defensive secondary specifically to be a lot more aggressive.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to do that after he left. So
they added Malik McDowell too.
Who's that?
He's their new rookie, defensive tackle. He's gonna be in there because Averill and Michael Bennett are getting old.
Don't ever say Michael Bennett.
I'm sorry.
He's like 26, isn't he? He's not that old. Oh man, is he getting old?
I don't know. I think so. So he'll be there to just keep him fresh.
Okay.
Come in, play some dance every once in a while.
Okay. They dropped. We talked about Hauschka a little bit just before. They waived him.
Yeah.
He was having some off-field issues that made it so that he wasn't a good person to have on the team anymore. No. So, and also his performance wasn't great.
Tailed off, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they. Well, I don't know. Kickers are so back and forth.
What I love about Pete Carroll is I'm convinced that if Hauschka was kicking the ball through the uprights, he'd be there still.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Pete Carroll cares. I really don't think. He would like all of his players to be normal and well-adjusted, but at the end of the day...
We're winning games.
That's the great thing about being an NFL head coach.
Well, we know Pete Carroll's history at USC. He doesn't care about...
No.
He just wants to win.
Which is the right attitude to have in the NFL.
Yeah.
This is why the NFL is hard for me at being a football fan, an NFL fan, a Seahawks fan since 1984.
Mm-hmm.
This whole sequence with Paul Allen buying the team and then Jim Mora Jr. coming in as head coach, what I thought was a terrible idea, and then him being fired after 1 year and Pete Carroll coming in, that was a horrible idea, and then drafting Russell Wilson in the third round after they just spent $5 million on a free agent quarterback from Green Bay. That was a dumb idea. I don't know what's a good idea anymore for Seattle. I'm done. I don't want to think about it.
Well, it sounds like whatever you think is a bad idea is a good idea.
That's where I am. At this point, I looked at it and I said, oh, they're dropping Hauschka. That might be rough. But then you don't know anything about football, so just shut up and we're going to move on.
Well, kickers, you never know what they can do. Like Mason Crosby at Green Bay, 1 year he's terrible, next year he's back and he's 98% or whatever. So Blair Walsh has not been as good either. He was 75% last year before the Vikings released him. So he was released and I think maybe jobless until now. But here's why I'm not necessarily high on Blair Walsh this year or with the Seahawks. So he played in a dome with Minnesota. So he got half his games indoors, no weather issues. And he had a 86.6 conversion rate at home versus only 82.4 on the road. So there's that difference. He's also not very good in December. His worst conversion rate was in December. Playing in Seattle, outdoors, terrible weather, not going to be good. And probably a useless split. But he doesn't play as well in the afternoon games as he does in the morning games, which is the switch. Seattle plays in the afternoon more.
Yeah. I followed you for the rest of them. That last one, it's a little...
I'm just trying to...
Okay. We'll go with it.
I don't think he's going to... I think he's just still going to miss some field goals, miss some extra points. It's going to be harder.
With the extra points moved back, I just hate that. That's the dumbest thing. Out of all the things you could have done to make football cooler, that's what you did. You chose to move the extra point back. The most exciting play in football. You know what? I was fine. You go kick the field goal. While you're kicking the field goal, I'm getting snacks. And then the commercials after that, and I come back, I watch the kickoff, I go get more snacks, and then we play the game. Yeah. I was fine with that. And now, what happened? Well, they missed they missed an extra point.
You want to stay, it's going to get blocked.
It's so dumb.
It's going to fall 5 yards short.
I'm not a fan. Anyway, that's fine. What do you got for projection? Well, fantasy projection first.
Fantasy football.
Pick one. Anyone.
Jimmy Graham, another tight end.
Okay.
I don't know why. He had a down year 2 years ago. He came back last year. Second half season was really strong. I think he's back, fully recovered from that ACL injury.
He did a number on that knee.
Yeah,
he really did.
Torn patella.
Yeah,
not ACL.
No, I saw that. I mean, obviously I didn't see the patella rip because I wasn't right down on the field with an MRI machine. Yeah. But I saw when he went down on it, and he didn't look happy after that happened. So it'll be good to get him back. Yeah. I've got my projection for their season 14-2. I see no reason why they don't win 14 games.
Yeah, that's the homer projection.
Yes, that's what I've got.
As the guy who doesn't like Seattle,
yes,
I still have them at 11-5.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I'm aware that they are good.
There's a lot of pieces there.
Yeah.
So maybe not 14-2.
Somewhere in between 11-5 and 14-2.
Probably closer to
Book
11.
It.
Might be closer to 11-5. Okay. A lot of time spent on the Seahawks, but that's okay because they're awesome.
Yeah.
The Cardinals, the Arizona Football Cardinals. I think we should just say football in front of all the team names.
That way you know that we're talking football.
Instead of...
The St. Louis Football Cardinals?
No.
Baseball Cardinals.
Baseball
there
Cardinals,
we go.
Yeah. Are there any teams anymore with the same name that are in the same city? I don't think there are anymore. They've all moved on and split off, and they're not in the same place.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
People are getting creative now.
Arizona.
What?
The what?
Nothing. Cut this out.
The Arizona Cardinals, 7-8-1 last year. We talked about that tie with Seattle. What have I got? I've got an aging offense. I've got lots of roster churn this year. Calais Campbell, Tony Jefferson, Kevin Minter, and Marcus Cooper all off the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could hurt.
That's a lot of guys.
That's not good when your defense is pretty good and helping keep you afloat.
I guess it was time. I mean, they were getting older.
Yeah. And now, Deion Buchanan is out for some amount of time to start the season. He has a knee ankle injury. Really?
When did that happen? I didn't see that.
Pretty recently. So they're going to have to rely on rookie Hassan Reddick. There's two A's. I don't know. Hassan.
Hassan?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. A rookie. A draft pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Ugh. Poor Bruce Arians doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who likes rookies a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe he is.
Well, he's playing with Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
I guess he's better than any of these other jokers they've got at quarterback. So.
Yeah. I didn't take a look at the depth chart. Who else do they have on the...
Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
No, it does not.
Because as soon as Carson Palmer gets injured again, it's over.
I hope Bruce Arians is just healthy this year. I was worried about the guy last year.
Yeah.
Did you watch I think it's on Amazon now, the All or Nothing season with the Arizona Cardinals or whatever that is?
You told me to multiple times.
I haven't watched it either.
Okay.
I think Mark watched it.
Yeah.
A mutual friend. But I did not watch it. I was thinking maybe I should, but Bruce Arians is kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
Turns out. I mean, he's probably the most stylish football coach in the NFL.
The Craig Sager of the NFL coaches.
He might be. Might be.
Understated, but...
Dude rocks a Kangol.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that? That's fantastic. That is awesome. So, Larry Fitzgerald last year.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. He's got nothing official, but...
He's got one more year on contract.
Yeah.
It seems like this might be the right time.
Put up one more 1,000-yard season and get out of here.
He's still really effective.
Yeah.
He could play longer.
Probably.
Why wouldn't he?
Maybe he will. Maybe he'll just go somewhere else.
That could be.
Maybe he'll go to Baltimore. They like old receivers.
Yes, they do seem to bring them in. Speaking of old receivers, is Anquan Bolden coming back?
I don't know.
I love Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, he's really fun to watch.
Okay.
We'll see what happens when we cover Detroit.
Okay. So we talked about the offense a little bit.
David Johnson. Got to talk about David Johnson.
Okay, let's talk about David Johnson.
He's basically Ezekiel Elliott, but maybe better.
He's fast.
Yeah. David Johnson had 2,100 yards from scrimmage last year.
Are you serious?
879 receiving yards.
Wow, I didn't know that.
This guy plays wide receiver and running back for you. Well, he pulls up the stats for you.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know he had that many yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
I knew he was good. I didn't realize he was. Wow. That's
and with
amazing.
a terrible offensive line too.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Arian. You know what though? I give Arians a hard time. He can coach an offense.
Yeah.
That guy can put guys in spots where they can be successful. So even with a subpar group, it doesn't really surprise me that Johnson had that kind of year because he and with Carson Palmer running it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt at all to have, a future Hall of Famer and Larry Fitzgerald out on the wing to help direct traffic. It surprised me a little bit they didn't do better last year. 500 to me seemed like kind of not a lost season, but it certainly wasn't what they were hoping for.
No. They didn't get a lot out of John Brown last year. He had a lot of health issues. He had concussion issues. He had a sickle cell flare-up that was giving him leg pain in both legs. And he had a cyst on his spine, which doesn't sound pleasant. He had that removed in January, but he's going to come back full strength this year.
Really?
Hopefully. And he's good.
Okay.
He's small, but he's good.
Okay.
So that could help them.
So Chandler Jones, Patrick Peterson, and the Honey Badger on defense.
Yeah.
Those are the only guys remaining, I think, out of all of the starters from last year that we talked about leaving. Those three are staying.
They got Carlos Dansby, though.
Isn't Carlos Dansby...
He is 35.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Is it?
That's how old I am.
Carlos Dansby, you know what? He might have a couple years left. He looked pretty good.
He's still going to do some stuff.
Yeah, where was he last year?
Cincinnati.
Yeah. So he looked good last year. I mean, obviously he's not a world beater, but he was a perfectly serviceable linebacker.
He's going to help with all the players that they lost, so...
Well, they need to get guys.
Yeah.
So it's good they brought in somebody who has some experience playing that position.
Yeah. They'll be happy to get Deion Buchanan back, too, when he's finally healthy.
You said it was a knee?
Ankle.
Yeah. Ugh.
Only a couple of weeks, though, because we've still got plenty of time before everything starts.
Yeah. This is the 12th, July 12th, as we're recording this. Okay. Do you have a fantasy play? What's your fantasy play?
Outside of the obvious David Johnson, I really like John Brown, especially if he's really over the concussions, feeling good in his back from that surgery. I think he's going to be good. I would take him.
He's a receiver?
Wide receiver, yeah.
Okay, good pick. Good pick. And a projection?
10-6. That's probably a little over optimistic, but looking at their schedule, that's what I pulled out.
I've got them at 9-7.
Okay.
So we're
kind of on the same page.
We're pretty close. Pretty close. The NFC West. Is not the best, or on the easier side. Their strength of schedule is not as hard as the AFC West.
Yeah, playing against San Francisco twice and
LA,
whatever city the Rams are in now. That's gonna help your strength of schedule.
Yes, it certainly.
It feels like 4 free wins for the Seahawks and the Cardinals.
I am counting on it.
Yeah.
So yes.
I'm giving the Rams one win against Seattle because they always beat. Well, they don't always, but the last 3 years they've taken care of Seattle at least once.
Wrong.
But they haven't always had Jared Goff. So.
We'll get on. We're actually there. We're there now. Next up on the hit parade.
Now that's how you segue.
The Los Angeles Rams, who last year under head coach Jim Fisher went 4-12. Well, I guess under Jim Fisher they actually went 3-10, 3-8.
Yeah,
because he got fired in week 12.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they brought in somebody in the interim. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
And then that person didn't stick around either. So this year, They brought in a new head coach, brand new head coach.
Yeah.
Sean McVay.
30
years old.
It doesn't matter.
Former offensive coordinator for the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
Because the Redskins did so well offensively. Maybe they're looking at him and saying, good Lord, anyone that can make Kirk Cousins look good.
Well, yeah, he's credited with fixing Kirk Cousins, I think.
Fixing him?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was having some decision-making issues, and I think that was on the field, passing decision.
Right.
Okay.
No. Well, he's at a bar taking a date home and forgot protection.
Exactly. He wasn't having Johnny Manziel type decision-making issues.
Okay.
So I think that here's the main thing. I think the reason they went with him. So Sean McVay works with Wade Phillips' son, or worked with Wade Phillips' son in Washington, the tight end coach, and so he's got that little connection. Word is that McVay promised the Rams brass that he could get Wade Phillips in his first interview.
Really?
He says, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to bring in Wade Phillips. We're going to have a good defense, an even better defense. We have a pretty good defense. I think he got the inside info that Wade wasn't going to be back with the Broncos. And so he knew, Wade's coming with me if I get this job.
Well, I think Wade Phillips wasn't fired.
No.
I think he left when John Fox was fired.
Yeah.
He had an option to leave. So it's entirely, I hadn't heard any of this. It's entirely possible, though, that they had arranged that behind the scenes and Wade Phillips just didn't want to stick around for what's obviously going to be kind of a weird year in Denver.
Yeah.
And if I was a defensive coach, there's lots worse things to do than go coach Aaron Donald.
No. Yeah.
That seems like,
Bring me that guy.
He is, he, a former, well, we might as well talk about it now, a former rookie of the year.
Yeah.
He had 11 sacks in 2015. He was down to 8 sacks in 2016 last year.
It's still good, though.
On that terrible team. But he had 82 pressures.
Yeah.
From the defensive tackle position, he got after the quarterback 82 times.
Yeah. That's only, 5 more than second place Geno Atkins. And then third place, Ndamukong Suh, with only 58.
Yep.
So,
that's some pretty heady
Donald
company.
gets in your face.
I don't like comparing guys, but I think this is more accurate than some. He reminds me a lot of Warren Sapp.
Okay.
He is so quick. He's more athletic.
Yeah.
He looks like a better football player. He's got a little better
Most
physique
of them do.
than Warren Sapp. But he gets off the ball so fast, and he's able to split through that gap.
Yeah.
Almost as the ball is snapped, he's already firing through. It's so fun to watch. He's so disruptive. It surprises me that the Rams were so bad last year.
Well, their offense had a lot to do with that, I think.
They didn't get a lot of help.
They helped. They kept some points off the board, but they were 9th in defense in yards. Their pass defense was 10th. Their rush defense was 16th. Those are all pretty good. They just allowed almost 25 points a game. That hurts. Well, when you're constantly defending a short field, that's what's going to happen. Their draft situation bit them a little bit this year. They earned the number 5 pick. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they didn't get to use the number 5 pick because they had traded with the Titans last year for the privilege of picking up Jared Goff. Tell me what you think of Jared Goff after his rookie campaign. Well, look, he had probably the worst rookie quarterback season of anyone ever. Okay, Ryan Leaf was laughing at him last year. That guy sucks.
He wasn't great.
No. Nothing that I have read tells me that Goff is going to be better. He could get better, but it's going to be hard to believe.
And after I did watch, we talked about the Amazon show with the Cardinals, and I didn't watch that, but I did watch Hard Knocks last year. That dude seems like an airhead. He seems like there's not a lot going on between his ears. Yeah. And it's great that he got picked that high, and I'm happy for him. But it seems like there's not a lot going on.
No. Well, their offensive line was meh. They brought in Andrew Whitworth. He's probably going to help. He's getting up there, but he's still good at what he does. So that's a little bit of help. But the problem with Goff is he wasn't even making plays when he wasn't under pressure. He was just constantly making mistakes. So even if you are protecting him better, is he going to be able to throw to the open receiver, not throw to a defended player, not throw to a defensive player?
Yeah, and that's going to be a large part of why Sean McVay is there.
Yeah.
So he's got his work cut out for him. There's some pieces with the Rams that could make them a fun team to watch.
Well, their defense makes them fun. If you like watching defense, Todd Gurley's good.
Fun. Yeah. I like watching that dude run around. He's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
He did go backwards last season, like we were talking about. That's more of a probably an offense issue, an all-encompassing issue than it was. He's bad. Fixing
the offensive line will help a little bit because he was just running into bodies last year all the whole time. So, but McVay, offensive coordinator before, he had Rob Kelly, Chris Thompson, and Matt Jones in Washington. They all averaged 4.2, 5.2, and 4.6 yards per carry, respectively. If he can work his offensive line magic, get his running game going too, Gurley's going to be, he's going to have a 100-yard game, hopefully. He didn't have any last year.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of the offensive line, the musical chairs that they've been playing with their offensive line, they got rid of Greg Robinson. Yeah. So Greg Robinson went from being a number 2 pick, 2 years ago?
Being traded for a 6th-round pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
He to the Lions.
Whoops.
Yeah, so I guess whoops. They're moving Jamon Brown from right tackle to right guard, and they're moving Rob Havenstein from guard out to tackle. So they've got rid of one guy, and they're moving 2 other guys. They're switching them.
Just got to find that sweet spot.
So they're working. They're working the issue.
They got a new center. Another guy from Washington, John Sullivan.
Okay. That'll help. Actually, that'll be a big help.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was from Washington, but that'll be a big help. So he's going to know a lot of the calls.
Well, he did most of his good work in Minnesota. He was up there in the center rankings when he was playing with them. So hopefully he can come back.
Yeah, and I didn't. Like I said, I didn't realize he's got some experience in McVay's offense, so that'll be very useful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've said some pretty nice things about the Rams. Do you have a fantasy play?
Well,
for these guys,
I don't like Tavon Austin. I like Tavon Austin, but I don't like him as a number 1 receiver because that's just not what he is. He's a 3rd receiver.
Okay.
He needs to be like Cordero Patterson in Oakland. The Rams need 2 good wide receivers that they can play and then put Tavon in the slot or whatever they want to do with him.
But they don't really have 2 good.
No, they have Robert Woods.
Okay.
Some of you may have heard of Robert Woods. But
no, I'm shaking my head no. I haven't heard of Robert Woods.
He's from Buffalo.
Ed Woods? I've heard of Ed Woods. I have not heard of Robert Woods.
Yeah. No. Robert Woods, 4 years in Buffalo, 75 targets on average, never broken 700 yards.
Well, 700 yards seems...
That's not that many for...
I guess it's not, yeah.
You're hoping for your number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Okay.
Do something else.
So,
fantasy pick?
Yeah. Do you have one?
Oh,
if I was going to make you.
Yeah. Oh.
You would take Gurley.
No.
You wouldn't take Gurley.
No, that's not what this is about.
Okay.
This is, right now, I have something for you.
Tell me.
I'm an Oregon State guy. We're enemies.
Oh.
The punter.
What?
If you're in a punter league, you need Johnny Hecker. Okay?
Okay.
This guy, Gil Brandt of ESPN, has ranked him the number 7 punter of all time. He's not even done yet.
What?
Yeah.
All time.
He's a 3-time Pro Bowler.
Wait, say his name again.
Johnny Hecker.
I've never heard of this guy. Johnny Hecker.
You went up against him twice a year at Oregon State.
Yeah, but they didn't actually punt the ball. The Ducks just took it away from them and then ran.
That's right. I forgot the Beavers suck.
The Beavers are not a good team.
3-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, averages 47 yards per punt. Wow. Only had 1 punt blocked in 5 years. He had the ball pinned inside the 20 51 times last year. 51. Wow. They punted a lot, I guess.
He had a lot of opportunities.
So that's why you want him.
In a punter league.
Because he's gonna be up there gaining the yards for you.
Hecker.
Yeah. Go Beavs.
Go Beavs. Okay. Do you have a projection?
It's gonna be the same for them.
5-11.
4-12.
They're gonna 4-12.
Was it not 4-12 last year?
That was 4-12. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're gonna get their San Francisco wins. I think they're gonna steal a win in Los Angeles versus the Seahawks.
Why would you say that?
And I think they're going to steal a win from Arizona, too, in Los Angeles.
Jeez.
That's it. Nothing else.
That's all.
What about you?
I've got them at 5-11.
Oh, okay.
I've got them improving a game. They're going to get a game better.
That's nice of you.
There's a lot of turmoil going on. There's a lot of weird stuff, and I am not sold that Jared Goff's the answer. And if they have troubles with him, I'm not sure where they go, because who's backing up Goff?
Ex-Oregon State quarterback Sean Mannion.
So, like I said,
I think this is my team. I think this is my NFC team.
I just don't see it. I just don't see it. So 5-11. That's where I've got him. That's where I've got him sitting.
Good luck, Jared Goff.
Good luck. Moving on.
The real class of the NFC West.
That's right. The Bay Area disasters.
Yeah.
The Bay Area dumpster fire. The San Francisco 49ers.
Are they still in San Francisco? Are they leaving?
Santa Clara, I think. You know what? They still call themselves the Niners, and no, they're not leaving, but they play their games in Santa Clara.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been to San Francisco. If you've spent time in the Bay Area, Santa Clara is not San Francisco. It is not.
It would be called San Francisco if it was San Francisco.
They're not in Candlestick anymore. They're in a new park, which
Levi's?
is nicer. What's that?
Levi's.
Levi's.
Stadium.
No, is it?
I think so.
Levi's Stadium, I thought, was in Arizona. Maybe not. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Levi's Stadium.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter where you play.
Niners new head coach, brand spanking new.
Another one.
Never been a head coach before, Kyle Shanahan. I feel better about him because
he's got that pedigree.
Not only that, but he's been a coordinator for a long time.
Yeah.
He's got his old man to lean on. He's been a coordinator for years and years. New GM, John Lynch, rookie GM, rookie head coach.
Super Bowl MVP.
He wasn't he?
Yeah.
I forget about that. He had a heck of a game in that game. This marks the end of the Trent Baalke era. No more Trent Baalke.
Good riddance.
And this is such a weird trip for me. The whole Trent Baalke, Jim Harbaugh connection, and then Jim Harbaugh gets mad at Trent Baalke and leaves, or Trent Baalke ends up firing him, and then brings on Jim Tomsula, which I don't understand to this day. And then last year he brings in Chip Kelly, because I think he just hated himself that much by the end of the time he was there. What a terrible decision that was to bring in that guy with this group. It didn't seem... He
just thought Colin Kaepernick, Chip Kelly, it's going to work.
Well, we can talk... There's a lot of things that we can get into about Chip Kelly and the way Chip Kelly coaches, and I will back him a lot. But one thing that Chip Kelly has not had was specific control over personnel. He didn't really have it in Philadelphia when he was there. He didn't have it in San Francisco.
Yeah.
He was only there for a year. There's not a lot of change you can make. In Philly, he got hosed because the GM there, he asked for a running back. They went out and they got him DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray is a one-cut. He's not even a one-cut. He's a downhill runner.
Is he still playing?
I don't know where he is.
I don't know where. I think he was in Tennessee.
It does. Yeah, I think he is in Tennessee still.
Yeah.
He's a good running back, but the point is that Chip Kelly's zone run system is not great for guys that need to have lead blockers.
Yeah.
He needs a lead blocker in front of him. He's a great running back. Watch him in Tennessee. Watch him when he was in Dallas. He put up tremendous numbers.
Yeah.
But the Eagles GM, I can't remember his name, didn't do him any favors when he brought in Murray.
Yeah.
And then he gets fired from that. Chip Kelly gets fired from that job. This is not the Chip Kelly podcast. We won't talk about him anymore. So after last season, 2-14, that was enough. And John Lynch comes in. He brings in Kyle Shanahan as his first choice. Kyle Shanahan, of course, offensive coordinator with the Falcons last year. We're not going to blame him specifically for the collapse of the Falcons in the Super Bowl. I think that would be excessive.
There's a lot of people to blame for that.
There's a lot to go around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they scored points in the Super Bowl. It's not like they didn't score any points.
Well, they scored some and then they stopped scoring points.
And they decided they had enough. They already had enough points.
Yeah.
And maybe that was where they fell down. Maybe they should have scored more than that.
Yeah.
Here's the good news. If you are a 49ers fan, why would you be? But if you are, here's the good news if you're a Niners fan. Going into the draft, they were willing to start swapping they were willing to start trading for picks. And I think that's a very good indication that your GM and your front office understands you're not one guy away. Yeah. They made a trade for the Bears, was it? Yeah, they swapped picks with the Bears, and they ended up getting 4 extra picks back.
That's a deal.
So they moved down, I think, 6 slots, was it? I had it written down. Anyway, they moved down 1 spot. They picked up Solomon Thomas, defensive lineman, who will start immediately. And that makes it with DeForest Buckner. That's a pretty good combination. Those 2 guys next to each other, that's a pretty good combination to have on the defensive line.
Yeah.
And then that plus another 4 picks. So pretty good move right out of the box by John Lynch. I've been watching that relationship, and it seems I haven't seen John Lynch say anything bad yet. I keep waiting for him to do something bad, and he just hasn't done it yet.
We'll see what he does.
Solomon Thomas also has missed minicamp. You know why he's missed minicamp?
Finishing school.
He's finishing school.
Good man. Can
you believe that? Good grief. I imagine Trent Baalke would have lit his hair on fire if somebody said, I'm going to finish school and not come to minicamp.
You are undrafted, sir.
I of course, close personal contacts with Trent Baalke. We're very tight. So all of this stuff I speak of is from is firsthand knowledge.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, they used a couple other draft picks on defense, too. They picked up Reuben Foster and Akello Witherspoon.
I don't know who that is.
They're defenders.
Okay.
We'll not put this in the podcast.
We will put this in, and we're going to put it in because it just goes back to they're more than one guy away.
Yeah. So they know they had the worst defense. They needed to improve it.
Yeah.
They're finding guys that they think can improve it.
And I think this will help. This will help. They did have I've got an interesting piece here from Jason Fitzgerald over at overthecap.com. As far as their roster moves go, the 49ers lost 37.5% of their snaps from last season. So players.
On defense or just altogether?
The whole team.
Okay.
The whole team. They lost 20% of what he calls quality snaps. Those are players who were signed by other teams.
Okay.
So they had a significant amount of roster churn. So clearly they're cleaning house.
Yeah.
So you won't see the same people failing in the same positions. There's at least that going for you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they let him go or if he decided to go, but Gerald Hodges is gone. He's on Buffalo now. And he was their best defender last year against the run.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
When you're allowing 165 yards a game on the ground, I think you probably want to retain those guys if you can. So it's too bad he didn't stay, but maybe they won't need him.
Maybe not. They're stacking up on their defensive line. So. Yeah. I think they'll probably end up being fine. It is interesting that they only... Will
they be fine?
Well, they won't be fine this year.
Is the team that won 2 games going to be fine?
It's a work in progress. It's going to be interesting to watch. I feel this feels to me a little bit like when Matt Millen got the GM job with the Lions. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself then, Matt Millen seems like a pretty smart guy. He came out of broadcasting and he probably has a pretty good feel for the game. And then he went to the Lions and then he brought in Mariucci, and then they drafted receivers in the first round for 3 straight years. They brought in, who did they bring in? Charles Rogers.
Mike Williams,
and there was another one.
Yeah.
I forget.
Didn't work out, whoever it was.
Well, I think Joey Harrington might have been the point where they misstepped. It might have been the Joey Harrington pick.
Could have been.
And they kept throwing good money after bad receivers at Joey Harrington that he then would not use. Roy Williams.
That sounds...
Anyway, doesn't matter. So I'm getting a little bit of that kind of good feeling that I got when Matt Millen got hired.
Yeah.
But then Matt Millen didn't turn out to be a very good GM.
No.
So...
Well, they added some players, too, that seem like they should help things.
Yeah.
You got Brian Hoyer, who's not a great quarterback, but, he puts up some numbers. He wins teams some games every now and then. I think he'll be better than Blaine Gabbert.
He is the starting quarterback, isn't he?
Yeah.
At least until where does Colin Kaepernick sit right now?
I think he sits on his couch.
So contractually, isn't he? Is he a free agent?
I think he is.
So he's not signed.
I haven't looked him up. I didn't think it was worth talking about him.
Probably not at this point.
I don't think he's relevant this year. We'll see what happens next year.
He lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
He got skinny, and he was already skinny. He didn't have a lot of weight to lose. Okay.
That's a whole
We won't talk about him.
subject.
That
We're not
really
a political
is.
show here.
No, we don't want to talk about that.
Brian Hoyer. I think
Hoyer.
he'll be a good stopgap, but they need to find somebody for real because Matt Barkley isn't doing anything for them either.
No, I was really surprised when he got brought in as a free agent, or did they trade for him?
Yeah, I don't.
But yeah, he's a Chip Kelly guy.
I don't know. Hoyer and Barkley were together on Chicago as well. Maybe they're
Were they?
kind of buddies, or maybe it's just a coincidence.
Chicago's been shedding guys like crazy,
Yeah.
haven't they? Anyway, we'll talk about Chicago later.
Yeah.
Do you have anything more you want to talk about?
Well, Carlos Hyde's still there.
Yeah.
He's going to gain yards. He's going to be good. Though I hear he's going to have to compete for his lead back position, whatever that means. I don't think they're going to let Tim Hightower do things.
Oh.
They drafted a running back in the 4th round. Word is they like him, so he'd probably get in there. But Carlos Hyde's still really good. I think he's going to be the man.
Okay.
Pierre Garçon.
Yes. I forgot he was on this team.
He's there now.
Is that new? Was he there last year?
Nope.
Okay.
He was in Washington last year.
That's right.
Yeah. He's, So he played with Kyle Shanahan in Washington, and he had his best year under Shanny, and 113 catches, 1,300 yards, but only 5 touchdowns. Garçon just doesn't get the touchdowns, which might be the problem with the 49ers if he doesn't get touchdowns because they need to score points, and they're having a hard time scoring points. 19 points a game last year. He's going to need to catch some footballs. Marquise Goodwin coming around from Buffalo. He is a wide receiver.
Good? Okay.
Yeah. Jeremy Curley's still there. He was there last year, had 115 targets last year, but only 667 yards. Maybe some of that is because their quarterback play was not the best. So there's some hope for some people in San Francisco.
It's not a complete...
I see no reason to be optimistic.
I have them going 4-12. So I have them a little better than the 2-14 they were last year. Again, keep in mind, the NFC West strength of schedule isn't super.
Yeah.
So they don't, aside from Seattle, they don't really play anybody that would scare you.
I think a lot of their games that I might consider giving them wins on are road games, which is why I only have them at 1 win, which is week 16.
You have them at 1 for the year?
Yeah.
Not...
I'm just being mean at this point.
1 away win.
1 win.
Nope.
It is a home win when Jacksonville comes clear across the country and loses to the most embarrassing, terrible team.
I have them splitting with the Rams.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate.
So that's a win. I have them also beating Jacksonville.
Yeah.
1 win. You have them at 1 win.
I had to do it.
If they only win 1 game, do you clean house again?
Yeah.
Or do you give Shanahan and Lynch another year?
They don't have enough there to expect them to do anything, so I wouldn't if I were Lynch.
You wouldn't hit the eject button? You wouldn't?
I'm looking for a quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a wide receiver still, too.
Yeah.
And find a couple more pieces on defense, probably. I don't know. If their defense is as bad as it was last year, it's probably not going to be pretty again. They allowed 30 points per game last year.
That's a lot.
They only scored 19.
That's not as much.
That's going to lose you some games.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can improve on that.
Okay. That is the whole NFC West.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you'd like to chime in with at this point?
I have no fantasy pick for the 49ers.
None. I thought Pierre Garçon. I thought you were looking at him as your...
Well, I guess you can pick him.
But there's no touchdowns there.
Maybe. Most likely.
Well,
you know what? No, I changed my mind. You can take Carlos Hyde. You know who they brought in? They brought in Kyle Juszczyk. He's a fullback.
Does Shanny's offense...
Well, it must if they got him.
Yeah. Okay.
But he's a Pro Bowler. He played with Baltimore, so I know him. He's good. He can catch passes, too. He's a bruiser. He's going to open up some spots for Hyde. I think Hyde's going to get his first 1,000-yard season this year.
Nice. That's a good play.
Yeah.
Okay.
So take Carlos Hyde. Don't be scared.
If you're going to take a Niner,
yeah,
it should be...
All you Niners fans out there,
yeah,
you're going to take Carlos Hyde anyway.
All right. So we've done the East now. We've done the West.
Yeah.
Which way do you want to head?
We're heading north.
So you're going to save Jacksonville for the last.
Yeah.
The very last.
I'm sparing you.
Thank you. I hate Jacksonville. Despise those guys. All right, so the AFC North, the NFC North next time on the Broken Plane podcast.
Yeah.
We should have some kind of an outro. We should have some kind
I'm a chicken fried.
Okay.
A cold beer on a Friday night. A pair of jeans that fit just right. And the radio.